Hello everyone, today is 1st of March. Spring is here, so happy spring everybody. It's a Saturday, so I hope you will have a wonderful day and a great weekend. And even though I was planning to have to take a day off today, well, after what happened yesterday in White House in Washington, of course, I had to make update. I'll give you my take on the situation, what had happened there. I'll give you some news in regards to this development, and of course I'm talking about this quite tense conversation that happened between US President Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Vice President of US, some other high-ranking officials of US, and Zelensky, who was visiting Washington to sign deal on rare earth, but deal was eventually not signed, and Trump said that he's no longer interested in that, which is quite understandable and right move. It is better for Washington to do business with Russia, obviously, because eventually, once this conflict will end, it is obvious that with exception of most likely with the exception of western parts of Ukraine, rest of the territory of this former Soviet Republic will be directly or indirectly controlled by Russia and will be liberated from this terrorist Nazi regime that was established in Kiev by US itself, by the way, in 2014 after Washington orchestrated coup d'etat there, and by European states that play secondary role, maybe in that coup d'etat, but right now it is clear that European so-called elites are moving in and sort of increasing their presence in this proxy war against Russia, their presence in Europe, and it seems like while US is distancing itself from Kiev regime and this proxy war, Europe is getting involved deeper and deeper in this crisis. I have news on that also, but first of all, let's talk about what happened in Washington, and that was quite something, isn't it? I have never ever seen anything like that. Guest who came to White House and then insult host, President of US, his administration, country itself. I don't know, man. This was some insane stuff what Zelensky did, and afterwards, by the way, Zelensky was on Fox News. And he refused to apologize. He was given opportunity to explain himself and apologize for what he did, but I guess he was under such influence of whatever substances he is using that he said that he don't really understand what he did wrong, which is quite crazy, isn't it? I mean, did he heard ever anything about the protocol and how politicians should act? I don't know, but that was quite a spectacle, isn't it? Some unbelievable stuff. And dear friends, Zelensky not just insulted US leadership and US as a country by his crazy acting, but he also insulted directly, according to some reports, by the way, J.D. Vance, Zelensky insulted him in Russian. He called him a bitch, basically. Suka, that's what he said. At some point, J.D. Vance was explaining something to Zelensky, and Zelensky said Suka. I mean, in video, I did listen to that episode, and it sounds like he's saying Suka, by the way. That's what it is. And many channels on the social media did pick up that line of Zelensky, and well, we have this report that multiple social media users have claimed that Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky was overheard swearing in Russian during the heated exchange with US President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance in the Oval Office. And as I said, at the moment, Vance was explaining something to Zelensky, and I guess Zelensky's swearing was directed to J.D. Vance, or maybe to everybody there. I don't know. This psychopath, by the way, should never be allowed to enter White House or the US. But and I said in previous updates, isn't it, that Washington, Pentagon, and CIA have a issue on their hands, because it seems like this asset, Zelensky, asset of CIA, is going rogue, right? He is becoming a serious obstacle, serious problem for Washington. And if anyone had any doubts on that before yesterday, well, I guess there can be no doubts right now, and most likely White House will authorize some operations to be installed, implemented, to remove Zelensky from office as fast as possible, one way or another, through elections or through coup d'etat and then elections. But Washington definitely has to remove this cycle from office. That's for sure. And by the way, when it comes to Vance, one interesting nuance, Elon Musk yesterday, before that show in White House, before that creepy show happened in White House, Elon Musk posted on his X account and commented on JD Vance and stated that he's most likely future president of US. And I think Elon Musk has a point. It well may be that JD Vance is a future president of a US, and well, that makes Zelensky's mistake ever more greater and dangerous for him. But anyways, by the way, what you expect from that narco Führer, actually, that Zelensky is in role of, right? He should never be allowed to enter White House, man. That was a grave mistake. But anyways, Trump, his team was very upset with what they saw in the White House. Some very strong words were said. And according to reports, for example, RIA Novosti is reporting based on initial information in the Wall Street Journal that Trump ordered his administration to study the topic of cutting any weapon supplies to Kyiv regime immediately if it's possible. US has some legal obligations due to actions of the Biden administration, and the weapons flow continues until now. Weapons deliveries that was authorized by Biden and his administration, and well, we might see some changes there, and I guess it is a possibility that Trump will oversee that topic, and maybe there will be no more weapons for Kyiv regime, at least from US. And also, according to reports, Trump ordered his staff to study the topic of intelligence sharing with the Kyiv regime, and probably US will no longer share some intelligence with Kyiv regime. This is a big deal also, obviously, because it means that US probably, to make sure that Kyiv regime will not get intelligence from US, Washington might minimize intelligence sharing with its NATO partners, UK, France, or other countries, because obviously there is constant share of intelligence data, especially satellite intelligence between NATO member states. US has obviously most capable satellite grouping in orbit, and in order to make sure that Kyiv regime will not get this flight path or targeting data based on US intelligence, maybe Washington will cut or minimize intelligence sharing with their NATO member states also, while this conflict is ongoing. Interesting development there. Also, by the way, Trump named conditions for resuming talks with Zelensky. US President Donald Trump has outlined his expectations for any future engagement with Vladimir Zelensky, stressing that future negotiations depend on clear commitment to peace. Speaking to reporters after a tense meeting with Zelensky at the White House on Friday, Trump accused the Ukrainian leader of overplaying his hand and failing to demonstrate a genuine desire to end the conflict with Russia. And we have a quote here: "We are looking for a peace," Trump stated. "We are not looking for somebody that's going to sign up a strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened. He is looking to go on and fight. We are looking to end their death. You saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us sign up for keep fighting, and we are not doing that. Not for this country, not for Kiev regime, basically, and this former Soviet republic. I guess. In other words, U.S. had enough. U.S. leadership had enough, and most likely, Washington will press now to remove Zelensky with whatever means, but to remove Zelensky as fast as possible, because he is a clearly obstacle towards the peace, and he's an obstacle for U.S. He's President of Zelensky in office, of president of so-called Ukraine, is insult to U.S. at this point. It's clear as day, right? And when it comes to obstacles towards the peace, by the way, obviously it's not just the Kiev regime, not just Zelensky, but also European elites. This is also very clear. And Rubio and U.S. elites know that. U.S. leadership knows that. And for example, head of U.S. State Department, Marco Rubio, said exactly that Europe wants to continue this conflict in Ukraine and prolong as much as possible. During his interview with CNN, Marco Rubio stated that one of the high-ranking officials in Europe, foreign minister, that was, I believe, although Rubio did not said a foreign minister of which country, told him that Europeans think if they will prolong this conflict for another year, that will break Russia, and European elites will manage to achieve some strategic defeat of Russian Federation, which is a delusional idea, obviously. And Marco Rubio said that he disagrees with this point of view of European elites, and he's on point because it is delusion, right? Western or European elites, out of desperation, are sucked in deeper and deeper in this delusion that they can achieve strategical defeat of Russia. They cannot, but they cannot help themselves at this point, I guess, and so they will continue on this path of escalation as long as they can, and therefore maybe Washington will have no option but to use its influence in Europe to remove all these psychos that are acting rogue now on European continent, and also in UK, by the way. And while mentioning UK, Zelensky is headed to UK now. Maybe he's already in London. Because, as I said in my previous updates, it is clear that while Washington is trying to distance itself from this proxy war against Russia that Western ruling class is waging, European elites, under leadership of British elites, under leadership of London, are trying now to become main masters of the Zelensky's regime, main players in this proxy war. And unfortunately, they do have some means to escalate, further escalate with Russia, and that's exactly what they most likely are planning to do. And therefore, recent statement of Russian president, when he, while meeting with the leadership of Russia's security service, stated that security services should be ready and diplomatic missions should be ready. And work on preventive measures to make sure that certain groups in Europe will not be able to derail talks between Moscow and Russia. And there is such a risk, clearly, and London, Paris, Berlin, or European so-called elites clearly are capable of authorizing some false flag operations, terrorist attacks, large-scale terrorist attacks, to somehow derail talks between Moscow and Washington, and to keep US into this proxy war against Russia as much as they can. So therefore, obviously, it's not just Russian diplomats and Russian security services that have to be on high alert to minimize the risks, but also US political class, US leadership, and US secret services have to be on high alert. And most likely, objective reality is dictating that Russian and US secret services and diplomats should share between each other information about risks so that they will deal with it together and more effectively. But risk is there for sure. Unfortunately, these European so-called elites, out of desperation, are capable of absolutely anything. And for example, I just mentioned UK, isn't it? And Stammer, Prime Minister there, is still insists on deploying British troops to Ukraine, which is a clearly attempt on part of London to provoke direct conflict, isn't it, between Russia and NATO. Yes, sir, UK, France, German leaderships, whenever they are talking about deployment of NATO troops into Ukraine, they are using these phrases like it's a peacekeeper mission, these are peacekeepers and the peace, and once peace is achieved, only then troops will be deployed. This is all the game of the words, right? This is just a attempt to divert public's attention. In reality, what is happening is that clearly London and Paris, first of all, are pushing for direct war of NATO and Russia, because deployment of NATO troops will obviously will not go down well with Moscow, and Russian leadership was very clear. Under no circumstances and under no pretext Russia will ever accept presence of the NATO troops into Ukraine, right? So yes, risks are very high, and I'm afraid before we will see through the escalation, unfortunately, we will have to deal with our next phase of escalation, which will be on unprecedented level, and led by European states, UK, France, first of all, although Germany most likely will be involved in that also, and some other countries. I'm not even mentioning those Chihuahua states from Baltics and some others. Meanwhile, RT is reporting, when it comes to extremism of the European elites, we have this statement from Kaja Kallas, top diplomat of EU, who is criticizing Trump, by the way, directly, accusing him of using Russian talking points. European elites are so out of touch with reality that they are directly insulting US, by the way, left and right now, and US leadership, which is never happened before, at least on my memory. I have never seen anything like that when high-ranking officials from Europe this directly insulting US president and his administration. I mean, this is something clearly new that we have not observed previously. But let's go through this news anyways. The European Union's top diplomat has suggested that US President Donald Trump has adopted Russian narratives about the Ukrainian conflict. Kaja Kallas also expressed concerns over Washington's supposed drift away from its longtime European allies. Kallas, the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and former Estonian Prime Minister, is known for her hawkish views on foreign policy and for her Russophobia, by the way. First of all, that's what she is well known for. She's extreme Russophobe and xenophobe. But anyways, you tell me, dear friends, what the hell is going on in Europe, and how come that these high-ranking officials from EU dare to insult US leadership this directly? I don't know, man. This is crazy. Maybe Europeans, elites, so-called elites, should wake up really, and realize that it's not Russian talking points. It's just a truth. Whenever nowadays a situation is twisted so much, so especially in the collective West, that whenever someone is saying something truthful, that person being called straight away Russian asset or Putin apologist or Russia apologist or something like that. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. All Trump does, and his team, by the way, nowadays, they are acknowledging objective reality. That's all it is. And for that, they've been called now delusional, and they've been accused of using or adopting Russian talking points. It's crazy, man. It's insane what is happening, man. Europe is in deep trouble for sure, because how European people gonna get rid of these psychopaths that are in charge there? I don't know. Eventually they will, I hope so, but it will take a long time, man. It will take a long time. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice, if I may, that this small media project of mine is completely subscriber funded, fully independent. And if you like my work, if you think I bring something interesting, useful into a conversation, into this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with donations through PayPal or Boosty platforms, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can also subscribe on page on Boosty if you don't like Patreon for whatever reasons. And you can support through crypto also. All the links, dear friends, are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support my work. Truly grateful for this unique opportunity to be in this field of news and political commentary. Thank you very much. Let's continue, dear friends, now with some more news. And of course, meanwhile all this craziness is happening in the West, special military operation is not stopping. And RIA Novosti reported, based on Russian Defense Ministry, that Russian armed forces liberated Novaya Sarochina settlement. I reported about it earlier, but as you know, Russian Defense Ministry is quite a conservative institution, and quite often Defense Ministry of Russia confirms information about progress of the Russian armed forces on line of contact after several days, or sometimes even after a week. I don't know why it's happening, but that's the case. I reported about liberation of Novaya Sarochina like several days ago, isn't it? But Defense Ministry only now confirmed this information. Also, by the way, reports are coming in and of course Novaya Sarochina is in Kursk salient area, by the way. And reports are coming in that Kyiv regime sent its special forces in Lebedevka settlement, because this settlement is disputed now between the sides. There were reports earlier that Russian troops established full control over this village, but I guess after arrival of a significant number of special forces of the Kyiv regime, clashes resume in a settlement, and it is disputed now. I guess it will take maybe a day or two, and Russian troops will still finalize clearing operation, no matter what kind of troops Kyiv regime will put there, deploy there. Also, dear friends, while map is open, we have a report about progress of the Russian armed forces in South Donetsk sector of the front line also. And for example, according to latest reports, Russian troops liberated settlement of Privornae and also settlement of Skudnae on a northern and northwestern side from Velika and Novoselka settlement. And Russian armed forces improving their positions on all along the front line, basically. And this is a daily stuff. We also have a report that Russian troops established control over the Burlatskaya settlement, which is also in South Donetsk sector of the front, I believe. Let me find that settlement. Yes, this is Burlatskaya, by the way. So this settlement is also under Russian control. When it comes to Kursk salient area, by the way, also interesting detail here that according to Russian Defense Ministry, Kyiv regime and NATO mercenaries since the beginning of invasion of this borderline area of the Kursk region lost more than 64,000 troops at this point. Also, Russian armed forces destroyed 382 tanks of their enemy, 290 infantry fighting vehicles, 248 armored personnel carriers, more than 2,000 armored, other type of armored vehicles, hundreds of pieces of artillery systems, 495 to be more precise, dozens of MLRS systems, multi-launch rocket systems, including 13 HIMARS, and hundreds and hundreds of other pieces of equipment. Entire army, one may argue, was decimated in a Kursk salient by Russian forces, and that's why I call Kursk salient a trap, by the way. And it did work quite effectively as a trap for most capable brigades of the Kyiv regime that were neutralized there. And I think nowadays we are receiving more and more indicators that probably Russian side is intends to close this trap and basically finalize counter-terrorist operation. And if that is the case, if my reading of the big picture is correct, most likely in a few weeks' time, Russia will neutralize all the forces of the enemy that remain in a Kursk salient area, and that will be it. Also, by the way, also we have report that Shoigu, secretary of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, visited China yesterday, and he had a meeting with the foreign minister of China and also with the leader of China, Xi Jinping. Main topic of discussion was security concerns that countries have cooperation in on topic of security. Although other topics of bilateral relationships were also discussed, obviously, but security was the main topic. We also have a report here that according to head of VTB Bank, which is the second biggest lender here in Russia, Andrei Kostin, towards the second half of this year, central bank might drop interest rates from current 21 to 19%, which will be, good indicator for sure that economical bloc of the Russian government finally did manage to deal with the overheating of their economy, and situation is getting stabilized. In any case, all the experts in field of banking and finances are predicting that at least interest rates will not grow, will not rise in 2025, which is already not bad. But if it will start to decrease, of course, that will be a great indicator that economical bloc of government did manage to overcome the obstacles due to this overheating of their economy. Who would thought, isn't it, that after 40,000+ sanctions that collective West imposed on Russia, Russian economy would not just not collapse, but Russian economy would actually overheat, which is also not that good, by the way. One may think, well, overheating economy means that everything is working 24/7, and that's good. Yes, it is good in one sense, but in other hand, it creates additional problems for economy. It puts pressure on inflation, on different markets, and therefore there should be some balance, right? Overheating is definitely not good stuff, and indicators are that that Russia managed to deal with this issue quite successfully. And I will end this update, by the way, on this news from RT. I spoke about it in yesterday's second update, and I even made a short clip from that second update and published that on YouTube and Rumble. But in case you did not watch that, I will give you this information now. That according to President of Brazil, BRICS must continue work on alternative payment platforms. So let's go through this news. The BRICS nations remain committed to developing transparent and secure payment platforms to boost their economic integration and reduce vulnerabilities in the global market. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has stated. Brazilian leader made a statement at the meeting of their group's representatives on Thursday as BRICS continues to seek options to boost trade and in national currencies and move trade away from the dollar. Lula said that Brazil's BRICS chairmanship this year will strengthen the group's push for a multipolar world and will contribute to the development of complementary, voluntary, accessible, transparent and secure payment platforms. And this is, by the way, despite the threats from Trump that US will impose 150% tariffs on all the BRICS member states if BRICS will go ahead with their further de-dollarization. And Lula da Silva and all the other leaders of the BRICS states, by the way, are quite direct when it comes to process of de-dollarization. It's not BRICS, it's US itself that initiated process of de-dollarization, weaponizing US dollar, right? So if Trump wants dollar to maintain its position as a main reserve currency in this world, they have to stop weaponizing it. That's all, really. Threats towards other countries not gonna help in this regard, because their countries gonna do business, right? Countries gonna cooperate, trade, and if they cannot do this with the dollar because of the sanctions of the Washington, for example, or their weaponization of this currency, then these countries will find other ways, right? Obviously, I mean, it's just logical, isn't it? So yes, despite the threats from Trump, it is clear that BRICS is going ahead with the creation of this alternative financial and banking system, and I'm all for that, by the way. World definitely needs alternative financial and banking system, because I don't think Western ruling class will realize, acknowledge its mistakes, and will no longer weaponize their own financial and the banking system. It's not happening, at least not in upcoming decades for sure. And well, this is it for now, dear friends. Hopefully you will find this update informative and interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary, and share information about my channel with your friends online or offline. And well, if you like my work, if you like my channels and want to support, you can do it through several means, as I already said. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. So yes, this is it for now. Thank you very much for your attention, for your support. Have a wonderful day, great weekend, and take care. Bye for now.